thank you for tuning in to episode 3 of Everything Left. For our regular listeners, you might notice that we don't usually do a pre-credits introduction. The purpose of this is to give out an apology before the show begins. Unfortunately, during the recording of episode 3, we experienced some technical difficulties, and there is a distinct issue with the quality of some of the recording. Instead of not releasing the episode, we decided that we would do what we could to correct the issues and release the episode that we had, so that you guys wouldn't miss out. I hope that despite these issues, you still enjoy the show. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Everything Left. I'm joined this week by Han.
Hello.
Together we're going to be looking through some of the week's news topics and discussing things and seeing how it goes. Okay, our first topic this week is the Nottingham anti-begging posters. Have you seen much of this story before, Han?
Only a little bit, just the BBC News article about it, but I know it's part of a bigger trend that's kind of been happening but not reported over the last few years of a trend known as hostile architecture. It's about making social spaces. You might have seen them. You sometimes have metal spikes at the bottom of doorways so that people can't sit outside various shops and stuff.
Yeah, for those who don't know, what's been going on with Nottingham Council is a few months ago they put up posters around their town centre basically saying if you give money to people begging, it's going to go to fraud and drugs, and they weren't even subtle about it. I'm literally looking at pictures here. It's a poster of used needles on the floor, and there's words, people who beg often have serious drug or alcohol problems. There's another one with someone smoking a cigarette and it says, begging, watch your money go up in smoke. It drew a lot of anger. There were a number of petitions going around complaining about the council basically painting people who live on the streets and people who beg as being criminals. Basically, the posters seem to be portraying beggars as disingenuous and trying to prevent people from giving money to people who need it, because they're just spreading the myth that people who live on the streets are in some way criminals or undeserving of help. It was very, very unpleasant really to see it. I remember when it first came out, I couldn't actually believe that they'd gone and done something like that.
Yeah, it's just another in the realm of demonising people and inducing fear and hatred rather than love and compassion against people. It's us and them, and yeah, I mean it's a right wing approach, isn't it? That it's if you're poor, it's your own fault. Basically. Yeah, and you're not people anyway.
Yeah, fortunately, a number of the posters have now been banned by the Advertising Standards Authority, who've turned around and said that they enforce negative stereotypes. I think it's a good thing that they've done that personally. I think that the campaign that Nottingham City Council put up is just inappropriate. But one of the things that was mentioned on the BBC article that you were saying about, Han, was Nottingham Council are looking to appeal against the decision to ban the advertisements. They feel that strongly that there's nothing wrong with their actual posters, so they're trying to get the ban overturned.
So is it do you remember that South Park episode where all the homeless people come to South Park because one person gives them change?
Yes.
Yeah. So Nottingham Council are taking the opposite of that. If nobody gives them money, they'll all fuck up.
Change?
No! Change! Spare some change. Leave me alone, I don't have any change!
Alright, God bless you, sir.
Oh, now I feel bad. Here! Ah!
Change!
No, that was really all the change I had.
Spare some change.
I just gave you change!
Change!
Change! Change!
Spare some change.
Ah!
Change!
I don't have any more change!
Alright, God bless.
No! I don't have any change! I don't have any change!
I'm guessing that seems to be their approach. I think they assume if people aren't giving anything to anyone begging, that the homeless people will just disappear, you know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they'll probably die.
Yeah, it goes back to what you were saying about shops that put down the spikes and things like that.
Yeah, I've linked you- I've
Removing
linked you to the article.
places. Yeah, they're removing places where people can. Well, for the average person, it's places where if you're out and about, you can't sit down as easy when you're shopping or meeting up with friends. But to homeless people, that's somewhere where they sleep. That's an important area for them.
Yeah, and it's also in various situations, it's in safer spaces as well, in public, in the warm, all these things that are critical to survival and everything. And they're just saying, oh no, it looks so terrible having them clustering up the place.
Yeah, I'm just looking through that article you've given me now, and I don't get why they've done it. Surely it's a health and safety thing as well. These spikes, okay, they're not completely, razor sharp, jagged death pit spikes, but if someone trips and falls and lands on one of them, that's going to do some serious damage. How did it at all get past the point where they were allowed to put those down?
I don't think that factors into their concern, does it? Is Nottingham Council by any chance a Tory council? Let me Google. Okay, it's a Labour council.
That's very surprising.
In the Nottingham City Council election 2015, there was a party called the Bus Pass Elvis Party.
Okay.
And I'm going to have to, and it has a wiki page. The Church of the Militant Elvis Party is a political party in the United Kingdom. The leader of the party is David Bishop, who goes by the nickname of Lord Biro / Bus Pass Elvis. It is concerned with the depletion of the Amazon rainforest, climate change, the power of Tesco on the British High Street, and the power of large corporations. I quite like this guy. Sorry, got a little bit off topic there, I do apologise.
Okay, I just found something on the council's website. The first article under council news is council leaders call for a review of the Advertising Standards Agency decision on begging campaign. And there's a statement here from a councillor, John Collins. The Advertising Standards Agency has completely failed to understand the seriousness of the begging problem in cities like Nottingham and why this kind of campaign was needed. Begging harms those who do it because it provides a ready supply of cash to be spent on life-threatening addictions. Also, local people have clearly told us that begging is their number one antisocial behaviour concern in the city centre. The Advertising Standards Agency has made a decision based on just 7 complaints from people who thought the campaign targeted homeless people. It wasn't about homelessness and made no reference to it. As the Framework Housing Charity has pointed out, begging shouldn't be confused with homelessness or rough sleep. Most people who beg aren't sleeping rough, and most people sleeping rough don't beg. The posters needed to be hard-hitting to get a serious message across effectively. There's no point in running a campaign that no one is going to take notice of. The Advertising Standards Agency itself states that because something might be offensive to someone is not grounds for finding a marketing communication in breach of the code, but they don't seem to have applied this to their decision about this campaign. I know there are people who disagree with the campaign, and I welcome the chance to have a proper debate about the issues it raises, but there were also plenty of people who agreed with the campaign and what it was trying to achieve.
Well, do you know what's really interesting? I was just trying to find statistics of homelessness in Nottingham. And I know that his argument that beggars aren't necessarily homeless isn't a completely meritless thing, but it does demonise the homeless. So anyway, I found an article in the Nottingham Post from the 7th of April 2016, and these posters were up then, and yet it's only just come to light, probably because they've come back. Yeah, because they're obviously fighting their decision. Yeah, Nottingham Beggars Union set up in response to the anti-begging posters run by the council. Still feels people asking for money are being criminalised, which is completely true.
Yeah.
eBay auction selling Nottingham anti-begging poster reaches more than £3,000. I hope that's going to charity. Because that would be kind of funny.
That would be a much better use of those posters than what the council want.
It's a charity eBay auction.
Nice. Is that still going?
No, this was back in April when it first started. Jesus hates the homeless. Oh, okay, those are fake ones.
Okay. Maybe they're fake for what Nottingham have done, but I'm sure someone somewhere has probably used that kind of poster.
Yeah, probably. They did one that says begging, Jesus hates the homeless, and beggars, dirty, filthy scroungers, the lot of them.
Yeah, again, I can believe that being actual posters.
I will have to. I will have to say, generally, I would rather give an item rather than money to somebody who I perceive in need. Like, I'll go and say, "Do you want a sandwich or something?" and I'll go and buy them a sandwich or a burger, or a cup of coffee, or give them a couple of cigarettes or whatever. I don't know why. I just feel like that's a kind of. I don't know. To me, that shows more compassion. I don't. I'm bigging it up because I think it's a shit. Because I don't know whether it's a shitty thing to do or not. What do you think?
Well,
Should you be giving them money or should you be giving them food and stuff?
I don't think there's anything wrong with either. Obviously, giving someone money, you don't know what it's going to be spent on. You can only take it in good faith that someone who's asking for money for XYZ is going to spend it on that. But I think that's if you're going to be giving something to someone on the street, whether it's money, whether it's a cup of coffee or a sandwich, you're taking it on faith anyway that person genuinely needs that, or that person isn't just going to turn around and say, "Oh, thanks for the coffee," and then tip it away because they don't drink coffee, or give their sandwich to another passerby because they don't like tuna.
Oh, I'd never buy someone a tuna sandwich. That's just rude.
If you're going to be giving, you've got to take it on faith that it's needed and that person is genuine. So I don't think it matters what it is you're giving, as long as you genuinely believe that person needs it and you're doing the right thing. I don't think it really matters.
Yeah, and I do try and buy, and I always buy the big issue if I see someone selling it.
I gotta be honest, I've never actually read one. I have no idea what's inside.
I had the same vendor when I lived in Preston for about 5 years, and then when I moved back down here, my then partner didn't drive, so I used to have to go and pick him up from the train station. So the guy at the train station was my big issue vendor, and we always used to have like a chat, and I'd buy him a coffee, and that was cool. They're actually different in different parts of the UK as well.
Well, they're like local publications.
Well, yeah, they have like local news and local articles as well as the stuff that's kind of national. So
wow, that's actually kind of cool.
Yeah, so don't demonise homeless people and
No.
don't be dicks. There are some people who, they think that welfare cheats and benefit fraudsters are absolutely disgusting, and they're always like, welfare state, yada yada yada. And to me, it's an incredibly simple argument. You can live in one of two countries. You either live in a country that has a safety net for vulnerable people to help those in need, and understand that is open to abuse, and it will be abused, sadly, because that's the way some people are. Or you live in a country that has absolutely no safety net for its vulnerable citizens. And I don't want to live in that country. And these sorts of things just kind of increase the whole us and them divide, and once you start to see others as less than, starts the process of dehumanisation, and then it becomes all the easier to go, well, they're not really human, are they? They're not like me. And that's a horrible, horrible place to end up.
It's a very slippery slope.
So that's cheerful.
Yeah. Shall we move on to something a bit more upbeat?
Yes, let's.
How do you feel about comic books, Hannah?
Well, I don't know that much about them, as you probably know. I am a novice. I have never read a superhero comic. I have been given and bought a few. I have some. No, that sounds disingenuous. No. Before I read a comic, I did dismiss them as, well, if I wanted to look at something, I'd go and look at a picture, and if I want to read something, I want to read a book. I don't understand why these two things have to be put together. I have changed my tune since then, because they are a completely legitimate and awesome art form.
Well, I don't know if, there's a comic coming out. It's not out yet. It's coming out in December, and it's a joint project from DC and IDW, and it's called Love is Love, and it's going to have contributors from both companies. The list of names attached to it already, even though they've not all been announced, is amazing. It's going to be 144 pages, and all the profit from the book will be going to supporting the victims of the Orlando Pulse shooting. And the book itself mourns the 49 lost, honours the survivors, and celebrates love in all its forms. And they've released 2 images of it so far, the regular cover and the variant cover, and both of them feature LGBT.
Is that Batgirl on the cover of the...
No, that's Batwoman. She's in DC, she's one of the more prominent LGBT characters. She's openly lesbian, has been from her first introduction. And on the variant cover, you've got, I think it's Wonder Woman in her Amazon clothing. It could be another comic character. I'm sorry if I've got that one wrong. I'm going with Wonder Woman. But she's waving a rainbow flag and there's a crowd of people behind her. There's a whole variety of people there wearing different rainbow apparel. There's someone wearing a trans flag. There's, looks like a elderly lesbian couple, a gay couple. The image looks like the book says a celebration of love in all its forms. And yeah, I think it's a great little project. I think the names attached to it will draw a lot of attention. Hopefully a lot of people will buy it and a lot of money will go towards what's quite a worthy cause. Mm-hmm. It's like some of the names on here you probably won't know, Hannah, but you've got Paul Jenkins, Jason Aaron, Olivier Coipel, Phil Jimenez, Mike Carey.
No, Mike Carey. He's the first one I know, but I don't know Mike Carey from his comic books. I know that he wrote The Thing or Hellboy, maybe both, but I know him from his fucking awesome series of books that I've never met anyone else who's read, the Felix Castor novels.
Okay.
And side note, Felix Castor is one of the fictional characters that I would, yeah. I just thought, I stopped in the middle of that and thought, why am I saying this?
You know that's going out on air.
Yeah. I want to fuck Felix Castor. Although, in the final book, I did find out that he's got a Liverpoolian accent, and that did put me off him a little bit. But not enough to, I'm not that shy.
But you do have a problem with people from Liverpool. Let's just clear that one
up.
No,
I don't have a problem with people from Liverpool. I just think that there are some accents that sound nicer than others.
We might lose listeners in Liverpool if we've got any.
Well, no,
probably not at this point. It's episode 3.
To make it sound like I am being Liverpoolianist, then yeah, but I'm genuinely not. I'm just saying on a personal, very subjective note, I find some accents more appealing to my ears than others. But it's not like I'm not going to be. I've had friends from Liverpool.
Oh dear. You know how in episode 1 I said we're going to have to release an apology to Freddy Krueger and Wes Craven? I wanted to get through more than another 2 episodes, but now we're going to have to apologise to the people of Liverpool as well. So you think they're okay? Okay.
I think you're kind of taking this the wrong way, Amy.
You know I just love twisting your words, Han.
Yes, I know you love twisting my words.
There are 2 names on there that you probably will know as well, Han. There's Damon Lindelof, and one I do know, Patton Oswalt.
Yeah, I do like a bit of Mr. Oswalt.
Yeah, he's taken part as well.
He's pretty good. I would have liked Brian K. Vaughan, just because I dig his stuff.
Well, his name's not on there yet, but it does say there are many more to be announced.
And I know that Mario will fucking hate me for this, but I do like Warren Ellis. Sorry. Sorry, Mario. You're too far away to grumble at me. I thought maybe if I gave him a shout out, he'd listen.
Yeah, you have to tell him. We're doing that approach. Just mention random people and be like, we mentioned you, so you have to come and listen now. Something else that has been mentioned in comics this week. You said you haven't read many superhero comics, but I'm going to have to check. You know who Wonder Woman is, yeah?
Yeah, just because I haven't read them doesn't mean that I'm totally culturally inept. I am aware of the entity known as the Woman of Wonder.
Good. She's now officially bisexual. It's been confirmed by Greg Rucka, and DC have confirmed that. Basically, they've turned around and said she lives on an island full of women. It's Paradise Island. Of course, they have things like love and relationships and sexual desires, and just because there's no men around, it doesn't mean that wouldn't be happening there. So of course Wonder Woman has had same-sex relationships and she's down with that.
But can I ask a comic book novice question here? Because I know that comic books, they reinvent themselves all the time, and isn't like Thor female at the moment, things like that. So is this something that can be erased and retconned by the next person who takes over Wonder Woman, or are some things, once they're canon, they're canon?
Yeah, obviously comics changing, evolving all the time. Certain things do get erased. Thor being a woman, that's slightly different. It's another person. It's not Thor's become female.
Oh, who's taken on the mantle of Thor, just as Captain America was taken on by the person whose name I can't remember.
Yeah, Falcon. Yeah, he's Cap now. But certain things
So it's a recast
Yeah,
rather than
certain
a...
things they do get rid of, but the Wonder Woman being bisexual has been something that readers have kind of taken for granted over the years. It's something that I always assumed, like, you know, Ruka goes on to say it's not a matter of the Amazons are gay in the sense of they don't have that concept there. They're an island full of women, so to them it's not, oh, we're lesbians, it's just we love other women because that's our world. And he's spoken about the whole thing about characters sometimes aren't seen as being a certain thing unless they stand up and say, I'm gay or I'm bisexual. So while she's never stood up and said, yes, I'm a bisexual person, it's because they don't have a concept of bisexuality in her culture, in a sense.
Right. It's putting human values and human attributes and the way that humans pigeonhole people into a completely different society. Now, this is incredibly topical, but I remember having a conversation about He-Man being bisexual. That when he was Prince Adam, he was gay, and when he was, or maybe the other way around, looking at this picture of him with his kind of very fetching metal vest on and his tiny little pants, I'm wondering whether this incarnation was meant to be, albeit incredibly stereotypically. I think that's probably more of a fan theory than actual canon, though.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest He-Man fan. I don't know the lore in and out. As far as I'm aware, he's straight, so...
Listeners, if you can educate me on this, then, yeah, let me know.
One of the things that Greg Rucka's actually said in regards to the situation as well is the decision that was made to be a bit more blatant about Diana being bisexual is the fact that every time they retell her origin, she leaves Paradise Island with Steve Trevor, a soldier, pilot. It varies depending on which version, which retelling. He arrives on the island and she leaves with him to go see the world and become a hero. And they kind of wanted to get away from the whole idea that she left with him because she fell in love with him. He says that he felt that diminishes her heroism if she left because she's suddenly got an attraction towards this man, and it's not about that as far as they're concerned. She went to be Themyscira's representative to the world. She went to give the rest of the world a champ. So it's more about that, not about her chasing a man, which I think he's spot on there. It totally adds more heroism to her. And
yeah, the whole stereotype that you're successful as a man and that's fine, but as a woman you have to be both beautiful and successful, and beautiful is far more important than successful, or you know, driven by love and successful, or you know, there's always the caveat that women are doing it for other reasons because we're soft. I always love Julia Serrano. You know Julia Serrano's book that you lent me, Whipping Girl, and there's a section in that about how quote-unquote masculine men are very much like, well, you know, masculine is natural and masculine is strong and all these kind of adjectives, but then you ask a quote-unquote masculine man to carry, to hold your handbag, and his entire worldview shatters because that's how fragile it actually is. Can't withstand the power of a hair clip.
It's a good thing as well because I think it's getting a bit back to what the creator probably envisioned for Wonder Woman. And I know some of the early Wonder Woman stuff is it's very cheesy and Wonder Woman got tied up a lot, but the creator himself was heavily into bondage.
Did not know that. Might have to know
well, there's a few more bits about the creator that you probably like to know. Then the creator, by the way, William Moulton Marston. Mm-hmm. He's a very early supporter of feminism. Mm-hmm. Really believed in women's rights and that women weren't sort of weak and subservient and that they're strong leaders, and that was a lot of what was behind creating Wonder Woman. He was also polyamorous relationship as well. He had a wife and another female partner. The three of them all lived together.
Psychologist as well.
I think having someone who doesn't fit into that I want to say heteronormative mould. You know, he's someone who's in a polyamorous relationship back in the early 40s, you know, supporting women's rights and pushing for equality and into the BDSM culture. Very, very much not what you'd class as a quote-unquote average man of the times. I think it's important to get back to some of those kind of sensibilities when it comes to certain characters, and I think Wonder Woman's one that is, if done right, she's a great character. I think a lot of writers over the years have just pigeonholed her as, well, she's just the strong woman, but at the end of the day, the right man comes along, she's just gonna swoon and fall in love, and it's not really what she's about, I don't think.
This is an interesting quote from him. In a 1943 issue of The American Scholar, Marston wrote, Not even girls want to be girls, so long as our feminine archetype lacks force, strength and power. Not wanting to be girls, they don't want to be tender, submissive, peace-loving as good women are. Women's strong qualities have become despised because of their weakness. The obvious remedy is to create a feminine character with all the strength of Superman, plus all the allure of a good and beautiful woman. Which for the time, it been, I mean, now you cringe at that. Oh well, it's obviously got to be fucking beautiful, and we're obviously tender and submissive. But for 1943, that was incredibly impressive.
Yeah. There's I've read a lot of things about him, and there's been a few documentaries on the early days of DC Comics that touch on him, and he's very, very interesting. A more interesting subject than a lot of people probably know. A lot of attention gets given to Superman and Batman and how they came about, and yeah, it's interesting enough. Like the two creators of Superman being Jewish immigrants, and one of them's father was killed, so it's like the whole they're trying to build this character who is himself like an immigrant, but is bulletproof and kind of borrowing from all these different places, and yeah, that's somewhat interesting. I find Wonder Woman to be more interesting, but she doesn't really get given the screen time as far as like documentaries.
Yeah. What do you think of the? I've seen the first trailer for the Wonder Woman movie. What do you think of that?
Well, I didn't like Batman v Superman. I'm not too fond of what DC are doing with their films at the minute, but the trailer actually looks really good.
And Suicide Squad looks good.
Yeah, I didn't like Suicide Squad. I think the fact that they're going back to World War One is a bold move. You know, they could have easily just done her origin in the modern times and tied it in more directly, but the fact that they're embracing, no, she's an Amazon, she's more than human, she's been around for hundreds of years, yeah, that's cool. I think from everything I've seen in the trailer, she's being portrayed as a very strong character, not just physically in the stuff that she's doing, which, you know, throwing around tanks at German soldiers is all very cool, but in the fact that for, what was World War One, 1915, 1916 sort of time, for a woman to come in and be a leader amongst all these soldiers, and it's going to be interesting to see how they play that, and it could be a really good, strong, positive film.
Yeah, it was one of the things that I really enjoyed about the first season of Agent Carter was how they kind of dealt with the whole women in very male-dominated society where sexism was the norm. Well, you know, and still is in some places now, but at least people are more aware of it and it is getting better. Although I haven't actually watched season 2 of Agent Carter because I didn't like the way that season 1 ended, because they went for the whole love trope at the end of it, which I remember going, being a heartless cow.
Yeah, season 2 isn't as strong a season, I don't think, but they do again touch on some of those issues of women at the time. Like the main villain of the season is female, and they, without spoiling too much for yourself and the listener, she's very much like a pretty Hollywood actress, because she's having to rely on her looks, because she's an amazing scientist but no one will take her seriously at all. You know, she's like Howard Stark level, could change the face of the world, but because she's a woman, no chance to act on that. So they do look at things like that. They do touch on the sexism of the time again. So it's interesting still. I think they go into a few areas and issues that they don't do on, say, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., for example, or even Daredevil. I think the only ones that come close to that kind of stuff is Jessica Jones.
I adore
very good for female characters.
And I love the fact that they just made this decision that you've got a strong as anything superpower, and they go, you know what, we're going to make a noir detective series that's all about her brain. Yeah, thank you, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and then it's only just come out at the time of this recording, so I haven't seen any of it yet, but obviously Luke Cage, they're dealing...
Yeah, I might actually watch that one.
Yeah, they've been quite upfront about the fact that it's going to deal with issues of race and things like that. The fact that they decided to put him in a hoodie.
Well, I was watching something recently, and they really pointed out to me that in American movies, you really don't see mixed-race heterosexual couple where the female is white and the male is black. It's just not done still. So that's another woo Netflix moment.
Okay, so the Isle of Man is introducing a gay pardon law. So the Isle of Man is going to be pardoning anyone convicted of sexual offences. Obviously historic sexual offences where it was because they were gay.
Yeah.
That's going to be... The Isle of Man is set to introduce gay pardon law as early as next year. Yeah, this is following on from wider pardons that are set to come in the UK in general. Theresa May's pledged to implement the Alan Turing law.
Yeah, because I remember after the Imitation Game, they did pardon Alan Turing, and I know that Benedict Cumberbatch was one of the people that was like, no, you should fucking pardon everybody.
Wow. I was just reading the numbers here. 49,000 men. It would pardon 49,000 people whose only crime was being gay.
And do you know that I saw something about this on Facebook and I thought I'm actually going to like check out the veracity before I say this, but sadly it is true. Homosexual concentration camp prisoners were not acknowledged as victims of Nazi persecution after the war. Reparations and state pensions available to other groups were refused to gay men who were still classified as criminals. Holocaust survivors who were homosexual could be re-imprisoned for repeat offences and were kept on model lists of sex offenders. Under the Allied military government of Germany, some homosexuals were forced to serve out their terms of imprisonment regardless of the time spent in concentration camps. Yeah. And that was by the Allies after the war.
I have never seen that topic touched upon in textbooks or in World War II documentaries. The fact that we went and rescued these people from concentration camps, we saved them from horrific things, and then we locked them away in prison. Mm-hmm. There's no other word for it other than it's absolutely disgusting that the Allies acted like that. And yeah, we weren't sending them to die like the Nazis were doing, but I don't think it makes us that much better. I think it's absolutely horrific, and the fact that we still haven't pardoned people who are convicted under these crimes. And yeah, Theresa May's turned around and said, okay, yeah, we're going to, but there's been no fixed date for doing it.
It was still illegal in England and the UK till 1967. Only extended to England and Wales. That was interesting. Same-sex sexual activities were legalised in Scotland in 1981 and 1982 in Ireland. LGBT people have been allowed to serve openly in Her Majesty's Armed Forces since 2000, but discrimination on a sexual orientation basis was only forbidden in 2010. That's nice. You're allowed to serve in the army, you're allowed to die for us, but we'll still bully the fucking shit out of you.
Yeah, you'd think if you have people who are voluntarily, because it's all voluntary, you know, there's no conscription or national service anymore. If people are volunteering to protect your country, to willingly die for your country, you could at least promise not to be complete bastards to them.
And do you know something? In 2009, on the 10th anniversary of the change of law that permitted homosexuality in the armed forces, newspapers reported that lifting of the ban had no perceivable impact on the operational effectiveness of the military. That's shocking news. I'm surprised I didn't hear more about that, because who would have thunk it?
So, do you like The Sun, Anne? The newspaper, not the celestial body.
Oh, absolutely! It's one of my favourite newspapers. I would subscribe to it. My entire house is actually wallpapered with
page. Yeah, I've been to your house. That does explain porn on the walls. Yeah, they reported on something a few days ago, 23rd September. So about a week behind on this one, but we're new, so you know.
Yeah, well, it's meant to be a topical show. We've talked about a story that actually started in April. Wonder Woman, who's been around since the 1940s.
Yeah, we're catching up.
Yes, I have heard this story. I just love, oh my god, I love the gleeful ignorance. Sorry, this is the quote from the Sun newspaper. Hermione Granger, so we're not even calling her real name, has been addressing the United Nations General Assembly. Nope, not kidding. The actress Emma Watson is a UN Goodwill Ambassador. What's that when it's at home? I haven't a clue. Well, you're a fucking journalist. Go and find out. Number one rule of journalism. You can find shit out. I don't have a clue is not a fucking thing that should ever come out of a journalist's fucking mouth as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, instead of telling them all the rules of Quidditch or how to turn someone into a frog, she bored them all rigid with whining lefty PC crap. Just like all actresses do if people are stupid enough to give them the chance. Why do we indulge these lovely slebs, most of whom know nout? Well, you just gleefully told us you know nout. I am assuming that Emma Watson, actually being a very erudite, intelligent young lady, probably A, didn't bore them rigid, B, knew what the fuck she was talking about. I don't object to them having views. Oh, well, that's progressive. Thank you so much. You don't want them just, in the kitchen making your sandwiches, shutting the fuck up and shagging you when you ask. And expressing them. I just don't understand why we take them seriously. Okay. You see, this is why I didn't read this article, Amy, because I just knew that I was going to just explode.
That's understandable, but have you seen the last line as well?
I suppose they got Emma in because Angelina Jolie is a bit tied up with other stuff at the moment.
What's an article attacking the intelligence of women and feminism issues without taking the piss out of someone who's going through a divorce?
Wow, that is just... Who is the person? Oh, Rod frickin' Little. Ugh. Oh, well, that's upset me.
That's the aim of the show.
Some things I don't like. I don't really like to indulge my insensible rage side, but there you go, you made me do it. To me, that is not even worthy of comment, because that's not journalism at all, in its slightest. It's
Yeah, it's not journalism at all, no.
seriously, how frightened a little man do you have to be to fling so much hate at something and gleefully say, I know nothing about it, but I'm going to fling shit at it anyway because that is my right. It's pathetic. Absolutely fucking pathetic. And I really hope that he did actually read it and go, oh, I don't understand some of these words. And then he just had such a crisis of masculinity that he sat down and took a shit into his hand, and then he just kind of daubed it on the wall. Emma Watson, she makes me feel inadequate human being. Oh. Do you have any comments about it, Amy? I'm just completely...
If you boil it down to its barest facts, take out all of the hate and vitriol in there, he's basically saying Emma Watson spoke to the UN. That's it. That's the only reporting in there. So it's not journalism. Something that'll make you smile. A small family bakery in Oregon called Sweet Cakes, who in 2013, yes, we're going back again, topical, refused to bake a cake for a lesbian couple who were getting married. They went to court. They were found guilty of discrimination under the state law and were fined £135,000. They have fought that continuously since then, and as of yesterday, and the the website I'm reading this from is Fox News, just for fun, because of the way they've reported it.
Oh, thank you, please link me.
They have closed their doors for the last time, and they've gone out of business because, as Fox News put it, the left-wing bigots and bullies finally got their pound of cake.
Left-wing bullies. I made a decision that was illegal, and then I spent all my money fighting that decision, which was illegal, and that's why I was bullied by you. It was the price they had to pay for refusing to violate their conscience. That is an actual line from the
Kleins
article
were
on
literally
Fox
run
News.
out of business by anti-Christian mobs. It's hard to believe that something like this could happen in the land of the free, the home of the brave. But we live in a nation that pledges its allegiance to the rainbow flag, a nation where gay rights now trump everyone else's rights. Because equality obviously means discrimination for those who want to discriminate. Let's remember that's the way it works for Fox News.
To be clear, Aaron and Melissa Klein did not go looking to engage in a fight with the LGBT community. The fight came to them. Yes, the lesbians went out and said, right, do you know what, I'm a bit bored today. Let's go and see if we can piss off some Christians by trying to get a fucking cake. Since that day, more than 3 years ago, the Kleins have faced unrelenting attacks from the LGBT community. Their business was boycotted. They weren't going to serve them anyway! How can you boycott somebody that won't serve you? Can I have a cake, please? No. Oh, you're boycotting us? No, you just refuse to serve us. Kind of the opposite. We are asking for business and you are not giving it to us. That's the opposite of a
but
boycott.
it sounds better if the left-wing liberals were the evil ones.
You know when I've just had a fucking fantastic idea. This will revolutionise the world, right? I'm serious. I'm being genuinely serious, right? You know on Wikipedia, you know there are some things where there is a little there is a little link that says citation needed, right? Any fucking news article should have to have those links. They should all have to have citation links. Their business was boycotted, they were bullied, their children received death threats. I would like to know the fucking citation of that, please. Thank you very much.
Well, it's nice to see that at least one news organisation is standing up to the left-wing bigots. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining us for episode 3. Han, I'd like to thank you for taking part again. Thank you again, everyone, for listening, and hopefully we'll see you again next time.
Bye, everyone.
Hi there, I'm Adam, Prince of Eternia. This is my kitty, Mr. Cringerpants, the most cutest kitty in the universe. Fabulous secret powers were revealed to me the day I held aloft my magic sword and sang.
"25 years, and my life is still trying to get up that great big hill of hope for a day destination. And I realized quickly when I knew I should that the world was made up of this brotherhood of man, for whatever that means. And so I cry sometimes when I'm lying in bed just to get it all out what's in my head. And I need a peculiar. And so I wake in the morning and I step outside and I take a deep breath and get real high. And I feel the top of my lungs, what's going on? And I say, hey, I say, hey, what's going on? And I say, hey, I say, what's going on? And he tries. Oh my God, do I try? I try all the time in this institution. And he prays. Oh my God, do I pray? I pray every single day. For a revolution. And I say, hey, I say, what's going on? And I say, just keep it inside. Learn how to hide your feelings. What's going on? Yeah! 25 years and my life is still trying to get off that great big hill
Of hope.
for a destination.